Hey everyone, welcome to the show. It's time for an episode of
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot. It's serious.
So, longtime viewers and listeners of the show know I haven't done one of these segments in a while, but this story is so worthy of a GTFO. So, here's the deal. You guys may have heard about George Santos already. If not, here's a rundown about who this scammer is and what he has now admitted to lying about. Santos is an openly gay Republican. He ran for Congress in a pretty solidly blue New York district. He somehow won, though. And in mid-December, for some reason after the election, the New York Times blew the lid off of this guy's bio. Virtually nothing has checked out. Santos made it sound like he was this rags to riches do-gooder. He was this real estate mogul. You know, he had this big portfolio of properties. He claimed that he was some sort of investment real estate guru who worked for Citigroup. He worked for Goldman Sachs. He said this was all in his bio. Santos also said he created a nonprofit animal rescue, which had saved over 2,500 dogs and cats. None of this is true. None of this. The two colleges he claimed to attend have no record of him. Citigroup and Goldman Sachs had no record of Santos ever working for their firms. The IRS couldn't locate any animal rescue under the name that he provided in his bio. And the Times journalists couldn't find any of the supposed 13 properties that he claims to own. What they did find, though, was that he has a criminal record for check fraud. And this is in Brazil. This was for stealing a man's checkbook and using this guy's checks to make purchases. And the Brazilian authorities say this case was never resolved. So he was charged, but never served any time, never got resolved. Even Santos' personal details started to come into question. He claimed that his mother was a descendant of migrant Jews who fled persecution. And he described himself at varying times as a non-practicing Jew, but then he would also say, oh, I'm Catholic. Well, journalists found out, no, his grandparents were Catholic and they were born in Brazil, not Jewish, not from Europe, not Jewish. So now, after weeks of damning details dripping out slowly, and Santos claiming that, oh, the media is out to get me, they're out to smear me, this is all fake news, blah, blah, blah. He's now admitted to, quote, embellishing his resume. Santos admitted to the New York Post in an interview that he never went to college at all. He never held investment positions that he included on his resume, so never worked for Goldman Sachs or anywhere that he claimed. He also says that he's Catholic, but he said that he discovered that his mother's family, quote, had a Jewish background. I said I was Jew-ish. So not Jewish. He's not Jewish. That's not what he was saying. He was saying he's, a little bit kind of sort of Jew-ish. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I dated a Jewish guy, so I guess I'm Jew-ish kind of too. I don't know how that works. Anyway, the Republican Jewish Coalition has now disinvited Santos from attending any of their future events, and they issued a statement saying, quote, he deceived us and misrepresented his heritage in public comments and to us personally. He previously claimed to be Jewish. He has begun his tenure in Congress on a very wrong note. He will not be welcome at any future RJC event. So yeah, no, you didn't say Jew-ish. You said you were Jewish. As for the animal charity, the New York Times did find a defunct Facebook page for a group with that name. And they discovered that Santos did hold a fundraiser for the rescue in 2017. And Santos charged $50 a head for entry to this event. But the actual owner of the rescue group told the New York Times she never received a dime of that money. She said that Santos just kept giving her excuses for not sending the money. And apparently he was having financial trouble around that same time because between 2014 and 2017, Santos was evicted from 3 different apartments for non-payment of rent, one of which he owed more than $12,000. Yet in 2021, so fast forward, 4 years from the last one, Santos was online bitching about being a landlord, saying he's a landlord and, oh, it's so tough trying to deal with the rent freeze because of the pandemic. And he was complaining that some tenants were, quote, flat out taking advantage of the situation. So all of a sudden, guy who's been there, struggled himself, been evicted, now he has no sympathy. And remember, there's no record of him or his family or his so-called company owning any real estate. So was that all BS too? And another thing that's piqued everyone's interest now is that Santos seems to have come into money all of a sudden. Because think about it, in 2017, he's being evicted multiple times. Then in May of 2020, he ran for office back then too. It wasn't Congress, but he ran for office. And he declared income at that time of $55,000 a year. Yet this year, when he ran for Congress, so fast forward just 2 years, his campaign disclosures show him earning a salary of $750,000 from his company. Oh, and he's receiving dividends between $1 million and $5 million from that same company. And he supposedly loaned his campaign $700,000 of his own money. But Santos was recently interviewed and he was dodging questions about where that money came from, the money that he lent to his own campaign. And the New York Times says that his company, which is called DeVolder, it shows no assets and no property, which would provide dividends. So where is this money coming from? And his financial disclosures don't include any client names, which apparently is required if you have income above $5,000 coming from any one person. But wait, there's more, because Santos' state of residence is also now under the microscope. When the New York Times journalists tried to interview him, they went to the address where he's registered to vote. Someone answered the door and she said, I have no idea who that is. Doesn't know anything about Santos. So where is he? Where does he live? And on December 21st, Talking Points Memo, that's another news outlet, they reported that Santos only registered this company that's making him millions of dollars in May of 2021, and it's registered in the state of Florida. And Santos listed himself as the registered agent. So that's the person who, if someone wanted to serve them legal paperwork, something like that, any formal documents, that's the person who they would reach out to and serve those documents to. But under state law, a registered agent has to be a resident within the state of Florida. So Santos would have had to sign and attest to the fact that he was a resident of Florida when he completed that document. Remember, this guy is supposed to be a New York resident. He was just elected to represent a Long Island, New York district. And the company, which as I said, was just created in May of 2021, he's already making millions of dollars from it with zero assets on the books. Really? But wait, there's even more. Santos also claimed that after he attended a New Year's Eve party at Mar-a-Lago on December 31st of 2020, where nobody was wearing a mask, this apparently, got out in the media. Everybody was having a meltdown because nobody was wearing a mask. He says his home was vandalized because of that, and that they threw stones and eggs at his property, at the home where he was living. He said that he spent more than 4 hours cleaning up the property, plus filing police reports and filing reports with the insurance company. Santos also claimed that his husband lost his job as a pharmacist because of the publicity from that New Year's event. In addition, Santos told Newsday that he moved because of that incident. However, neither his landlord or the police have any record of this alleged vandalism on that date. And his landlord's records show that he didn't move out of that property until August of 2021. So it was so upsetting for him that he waited 8 months to move out. And she also told the New York Times she had to spend $17,000 to repair all of the damage that Santos left when he moved out from when he was living there. But by far, the most egregious fabrication of all is when Santos claimed that several of his employees were killed in the mass shooting at Pulse nightclub in Florida. As with everything else, this was fact-checked, and none of the victims' names appear to be associated with Santos or any company he's ever owned. So, will the real George Santos please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up. Because who the hell is this guy? And the Republican Party doesn't seem to be interested in doing anything about it. Apparently, they already knew. Apparently, this has been a running joke in Republican circles and with the Republican leadership that they knew that he was making all of this stuff up and they just laughed about it. It's unreal. This is what the Republican Party has become. This is what happens when you allow someone like Trump into the mix, into your party. This is what they have to look forward to in their future. Con artists. Anyway, guys, when I hear more, I will let you know. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and please donate. It really helps to keep the show going. Appreciate all of you. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.